It's May the 4th, which means everyone needs to be obnoxious about how much they hate George Lucas for the next 24 hours. Well, since I never really felt on board with the Star Wars fandom, I figured I would do something a bit different. Rather than talk about what the best Star Wars games are, Dark Forces 2, or which is the best Star Wars movie, also Dark Forces 2,
Morgan Catan!
I decided to look at other series and pick out 4 great games that either give me a Star Wars feel or are directly inspired by the classic franchise itself. These are the 4 best Star Wars video games that aren't Star Wars games. Number 4. Easily the most overlooked entry in the Star Fox franchise, Namco's Star Fox Assault for Nintendo GameCube put you in war zones both in space and on ground. The controversial addition of on-foot third-person sections made Star Fox purists ignore the game before it was even released, and it's really a shame because these sections are really well made and the gunplay is really solid. But what makes it really damn awesome are the missions where you get to switch between using your R-Wing and the on-foot combat in the middle of gameplay. It brings a whole new feeling to the game that makes the 2 different playstyles feel much more connected. This was something that Star Wars itself did with the Battlefront series, but I honestly felt Star Fox Assault did it better. It's also a game that's really easy to pick up and play, and the multiplayer is a lot of fun if you have friends to play with, which I don't. Moving on. It's really a shame that Star Fox Assault got so much shit for being different, because it did so much right. Sure, it's not the best Star Fox game, but it's easily the one that made me feel like I was a part of a giant science fiction war the most, and isn't that what we'd be all looking for if we want that Star Wars feeling? Number 3. While the original Phantasy Star games were largely inspired by 70s science fiction anime and carried a strong feminist subtext to the series writing, we're not here to talk about those. Instead, we're here to talk about Phantasy Star Online. Phantasy Star Online threw out everything about the original series, the turn-based combat, the art direction, the 70s influence, all gone. Hell, series creator Kodama Rieko didn't even work on the game, instead moving on to make Skies of Arcadia, which could have also been on this list, but isn't. Phantasy Star Online focused on flashy sci-fi combat in an online environment. You either be cutting things down with your not lightsaber, or you be blasting things to bit with your not blaster, feeling magical. Then how about you manipulate your not force to... oh wait, they actually call it force. Subtle. Phantasy Star Online is basically the Star Wars MMO people were asking for in the 14 years after Phantasy Star Online released. Ironic, really. While support for the original Phantasy Star Online ended years ago, the sequel is still going strong in Japan. It's quite fun, and I recommend checking it out if you don't mind navigating Japanese stuff with fan-translated guides. Sega did announce a North American and European localization, but the last update on that happening was in 2012. Still, Phantasy Star Online did for me what many people wanted Star Wars Galaxies and Star Wars The Old Republic to do. Also, it's not Phantasy Star Universe, which is possibly the biggest compliment you can give it. Number 2... Wing Commander was a series I loved as much as anybody else who grew up with 90s computer games. It was a blast in so many ways. But the most interesting link to Star Wars would be that Mark Hamill played the lead character, Maverick, in the game's FMV cutscenes. However, we're not going to be talking about the main Wing Commander series, because as much as I love Mark Hamill, they're not on this list. Enter Wing Commander Privateer. Wing Commander Privateer differed from the main Wing Commander series in that it was not about taking on the Kilrathi Empire as an ace starfighter. Privateer was about smuggling goods. And that was it. It was an in-depth space-based smuggling simulator, and it would have made Han Solo proud if he ever got to play it. Set up routes, outsmart pirates who want to loot your goods using diplomacy, or just do it the hard way and blast everything in your path. If there was ever a way to really feel like you were Han Solo, this is it. That or Kinect Star Wars.
I'm solo, I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo, solo.
And number 1... Final Fantasy has had a connection to Star Wars for a long time, possibly since it started. Biggs and Wedge, evil empires with stormtroopers galore, and of course, George Lucas himself is in one of the games. But when it comes to which game was the most Star Wars-like, well, for that there's only Final Fantasy XII. A brief warning for spoilers regarding Final Fantasy XII here, so I'll be mainly talking about the plot. In Final Fantasy XII, you play as a kid living in the desert who wants to take to the skies and pilot his own airship. When his only family is killed, he ends up on a path to fight the evil Arcadian Empire. He teams up with an outlaw with means to fly who is accompanied by his co-pilot slash trusty partner who is furrier than the rest. Together they end up having to take help by an older man who used to fight alongside the poor kid's late relative in the war. Soon enough, they are also joined by a rebel princess who is taking it into her own hands to fight the Empire in any means possible. The main villain leads a puppet knight encased in a large metal suit who is willing to kill anybody if ordered to. Sound familiar? Final Fantasy XII is in many ways a retelling of the original Star Wars. In fact, the similarities I mentioned are far from the only ones. However, it goes the extra mile by being a damn good game in its own right. A game with a unique but superb combat system and gorgeous graphics for a PS2 game. The game released late in the PS2 era, not hitting European shores until 2007. As such, it's a title that didn't receive the love it deserved on launch. I hope Square Enix releases some sort of HD remaster for modern systems like PS4 and Steam. Next year is its 10th anniversary, so it will be fitting. And that's all I have to give you. I may not be that into Star Wars, but I can appreciate it through other franchises. Until next time, thank you for watching, and may the magic with a CK be with you.